Um, so I'm Thomas, and I'm here to talk about some foundations, what I think of as foundations, regarding law. And I was just sitting down there and thinking, what is law? What is law? And just what came to my mind is law is sort of equal to the law, perhaps the way something is going to proceed. So there's many kinds of laws, as you saw in this so-called common law, so-called spiritual law, maritime law and business law of the human mind.
You forgot natural law.
Natural law there's that as well. There's many, which is perhaps an interpretation that could probably vary about, the law of nature. And I know from sort of kind of areas of academia, there's some arguments that say that nature is predatorial. And then there are some things that are coming out now are sort of like, well, actually it's more cooperative. But it's a bit of both. Perhaps it's what we might call good and evil. Nature has both. So I'll start with what I see as our first point of engaging in law. So in our first point of coming into creating opening a door in that area. And that is in the form of a question. That is your foundation. But the question has to be proper. Now, a proper question might sound like nonsense to a police officer or someone in a position of authority based on what they've learned. So, I'll give some examples. If you're driving along and a police officer sets off the lights and pulls you over, and they come up to your door and they say, do you realise you were going over the speed limit? What are you going to say? What's going to be your response? Can I just, let's say that's happened, maybe a few responses just based on where you're at.
Was I?
How did you measure that?
Good.
No.
Okay, we got 3 interesting ones.
I have said once, and I'd only just left home, and I was going down to the local pub to have a meal with my tennis girls as a break-up. I got pulled up, and I just said, oh, excuse me, is this going to take very long? Because I'm in a hurry to find a toilet. And he said, oh, you're coming 80 around the corner, it was only 60, and this is, where there aren't driveways or anything like that. And I said, oh, well, I'm just trying to get to the closest toilet, which I think's down at the pub down the end of the road.
Yeah.
And he said, all right, we'll take it easy getting there, and he let me off. I'm glad he didn't ask for my licence or anything. He would have said, oh, your home is just, a few doors away.
So he responded in a decent way.
Yeah.
However, whether you did not need to go to the toilet or not is a question. So yours was no.
How do you know? How would you measure that?
How did you measure that? Okay, that's not a bad question. And yours was?
Was I?
Was I? So
That's really stupid.
that's a good question. Was I?
So answer a question with your question.
Yes, answer a question with the question in that case. He asked, do you realise, I asked, do you realise you're going over the speed limit? And you say, was I? So was I opens the door. And was I is a very basic question. And where one needs to learn to be at is in one's innocence. So that's a bit childlike. What do children do? They ask these really basic questions. And in a way we lose that because we get filled with all this knowledge and we stop asking the very basic questions. And in a way, the way I see it is we enter the labyrinth of knowledge and confusion and it becomes quite difficult to navigate. Where coming back to that state of mind is difficult because it is so simple and the way adults tend to respond to it sometimes. But it's pretty fun seeing how it goes and playing with it. It can be quite a lot of fun. So, was I? And then, let's say the response is going to be, yes, you were. Or, yeah, that's what the reading came up with. You're going, and then he might inform you what how many kilometres you're going. And, you can ask things like, well, what do you believe about that? There's another great question. What does he believe about that? And he'll say, well, it's against the law. And, you might say again, what do you believe about that? And he's going to start to kind of probably realise that you're kind of questioning, undermining his very authority, or hers. And you just keep proceeding in this way. And, one might show where one's at, would you like it if I slowed down? Can we agree upon that? And then he might be like, no, I'm going to fine you. And to that I would say, well, you do what you need to do, brother. I'm not here to get in the way of what you believe you need to do. Because I don't fear a fine if that's what he needs to do. That's none of my business. And what comes in the mail, well, that may not be much of my business either. What my business is what comes out of my mouth. And perhaps even some of the way I'm thinking. That's my business. And what we'll be looking at is you have to be very careful of what comes out of your mouth. Let them speak. Let the other person speak. Because it comes back to claims. Claims is a very important concept. It's a foundation of... This world is full of claims. It's possessed by claims. As opposed to when we're in our innocence, that childlikeness, just the whole idea of ownership is a claim. And I would question, how do do we really own anything? What do people believe about ownership? Yeah.
It's a man-made construct.
Yeah.
Hey.
Anything else? So if it's a man-made construct, what about